2011 will be the year that Tord completes its WIFTA apprenticeship, which means that the focus will shift to CN Power as it prepares to join the North Central Division. Derby Nerd here with Monochrome for Tord TV, talking about Kalamazoo versus CN Power coming up on February 26th. 2010 was quite a year for CN Power, hosted the Quad City Chaos, won 3 big bouts. Now, they did lose 4-2, so it was kind of an up and down year. What do you think the highlight of 2010 for CN Power was?
Well, I think really Quad City Chaos, we really came out with a bang. I mean, we were hosting this new tournament, brought in 3 other teams from outside, you know, had Dan Lim do this amazing promo video for us as a result of that. And it really has changed how we were looking at Derby. And, you know, by inviting these other leagues from Canada, we were seeing the West Coast and the East Coast, and we got to beat Hamilton, which, you know, it was the first time that we'd ever done it. That was our goal going into that tournament, was to finally show Hamilton that we were a force to be reckoned with. And I think that was the major takeaway from that tournament and from the season in general.
So yeah, the roster for the first time now is set. They know who's going to be making up the lineups for at least the first 6 months of the year, right?
Yep.
And do you think that, does that change the mood of the players? Is there a different feeling on CN Power's roster now?
Well, I think so. I think that whereas before you were skating with whoever showed up to practice, I think this season is more about working together as a team, a little more accountability for performance, and really working on specific lines and gelling with people that maybe you're not used to skating with on your home team. So, I mean, it seems a little late in the game to sort of go back to basics, but at the same time, I think that was something that CN Power really needed to foster in their skaters.
Monochrome talked to captain of the CN Power, Brimstone, earlier today.
It's Monochrome here with Brimstone from the CN Power, and I'm just here to ask you a couple questions about the 2011 season. Now, 2010 sort of ended on an up and down swing. Like there were some bumps down the road. What can you tell me about last season and how this season is changing that?
I think we had sort of an up and down season, like you said. Things would start to come together and then sort of start to spread apart again for the team and back together pretty consistently up and down over the season. So what we did last year was have CN Power practices open to any senior skaters in Tord, and then when it came game time, we would pick a roster based on who was able to attend the most in the last couple months, stuff like that. This year we've changed. We actually did tryouts this year, and we have a set 20-person roster. So that's pretty exciting and pretty different than last year, and I think it'll change our game a whole lot.
Yeah, I actually had the honor and privilege of being one of the testers for the league, and this is really the first time in our league's history that senior skaters have been tested amongst themselves. I mean, you do your initial tryout with your fresh meat and then get drafted to a team, but did you find that there was some feedback that you got, both negative and positive, from the skaters that did have to try out for the first time in, say, 5 years?
I think overall it was pretty good. I think for some of us even that have been around for 4 or 5 years, we never have ever had to do any kind of test with Tord, so it was really good. There was people that even did the test just for their own sake to get a benchmark of what they can improve on, so I think overall it was really useful. Obviously it was our first time, so we'll change up some things for next year and just improve on what we had. I think overall it was a really good thing to do. It made things a lot more objective for picking a roster, just showing people where their skills were, and just a really great sort of tool as a benchmark to see where everyone was at.
Now, looking at that 20-person roster and who we can expect coming out of Tord this season, what do you think opposing teams have to look forward to in our games against them?
I think with the 20-person roster, we'll be a lot tighter of a team than we have been in the past. So I hope so anyways. That was kind of the goal of what we wanted to get out of it. It was pretty hard with the rotating roster to get a lot of commitment to the team and a lot of, you know, team bonding, team dedication, which is a huge part of the game. So I think we will hopefully be a tighter team this year and a little bit more of contenders against the nearby leagues that we get to play.
Looking at Kalamazoo, the next game that's coming up, have you looked at their skating style and are you sort of matching what they're doing, or are you trying something new?
we don't really know a lot of what to expect. We found maybe one game online, so we're just going to, we've been working a lot on team communication and teamwork, so we're going to just try to build on that, and our goal for the game is to come out feeling like a tight team, no matter how we place against the other team.
Thank you, Brim, for taking a moment out of practice to come talk to us.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me on Tord TV.
This is Monochrome signing off.
CN Power's opponent on February 26 will be the Kalamazoo Derby Darlins. They've been newly added to full WIFTA status, and they are in the North Central Division, so this should be a good marker for Tord. They've only had one bout so far, and they lost 255-35 to the Chicago outfit, a tough squad. Now, for CN Power going in against Kalamazoo, who do you think could be a few game changers for CN Power?
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to Brim a little bit about the lineups, and I'm really excited about Herlin Wall. She was our Rookie of the Year for 2010, and she's really the first rookie that you see come right off their first season and right into competitive play like this. And we really haven't seen a rookie like her since Landshark. Really, she shows this tremendous blocking potential, and really, I think her challenge is going to be reining it in a little bit and learning more about the game and a little less, grab and smash. So
now you mentioned Landshark.
Yes.
She's, of course, going to be a key jammer on the roster.
Absolutely. And, as always, her endurance this season as well is just jumped right up. So, just this last game that we had, the Dolls versus the Gores, she was jamming every other line.
Yeah, almost
and
50%, I think.
Absolutely. And so we're going to see a lot of good jamming out of her. In terms of pivoting, it's something that Brim Brim and Rebel Rocket have been our pivots, and you can always expect them on the line. But I was really happy to hear that Megaboosh is going to be taking the stripe for this next game and playing a little tag team pivoting with Terrapart as well, both Chicks Ahoy.
Now, the CN Power Kalamazoo bout is only one of two on February 26th. The night will begin with our undrafted players, the Divas, taking on the Nickel City Roller Derby team from Sudbury. This is not Sudbury's first bout. They did have a bout against the Luscious Lunch Ladies of Forest City last season. So they have a little bit of experience. Now, this is a new Divas lineup, though. I think a few of them might have bouted against Durham Region last year. For the most part, it's going to be a new lineup. How important is it to have this Divas team in Tord and to allow these skaters to get some bouting experience before they're drafted?
Well, I think it's really exciting. As our league grows, we can't just pull people directly out of fresh meat because the experience isn't there, the knowledge isn't there. And it's really tough to be benched with your own team after you just got there. So I think this farm team is a good stepping stone where you still get to bout, and we're hoping that it'll organically become a place for retired skaters who maybe aren't feeling as competitive or not as eager to play for their home team. They might drop back into a farm team situation, which would be kind of neat to see too.
And Monochrome talked to a bench manager for the Divas, Raunchy Hextall, earlier today.
This is Monochrome here with Raunchy Hextall of the Divas, and tell me a little bit about being a diva and being part of our farm team for Toronto Roller Derby.
Well, I think it's a really awesome perspective to have of the entire league. We start off going through the fresh meet, obviously, and then once we passed our test, while we're not integrated fully into the home teams, we do get an opportunity to skate with each and every one of them, which is amazing because we get to work with skaters that are above our level who really push us to kick it up and get better.
As a player that's now taken off of the roster and put at the center and really working as a bench manager, how is that perspective different for you?
So completely different. When you're skating in the pack, as much as you're being trained to watch everything and keep an eye out for everything, it doesn't happen that way. Especially as a new skater, most of it's just tunnel vision and hoping like hell that you can hit somebody. And then seeing people that are more communicative on the track and really trying to find ways to encourage them to keep speaking. Maybe they'd be great as pivots. And being able to go to my teammates as a teammate and say, you are amazing at this. Let's keep that going. It's a wonderful feeling to have. And I'm very lucky to have a broken bone and be able to do it. So
Now, with this game coming up, you're playing against Nickel City from Sudbury, and they're a brand new league, but from what I've gathered, they've gotten a lot of information from us and are really keen to get their league, up and running. What can you tell me about how you're going to counterbalance that keenness, that excitement about their first game?
It's the Divas mentality, the whole motto, we draw first blood. That's all there is to it. They may be keen, they may be eager. The last time the Divas played, not this exact lineup, but the last time the Divas as a team played, it was against Durham. I think it was a similar sort of situation, and we drew first blood then too. We expect to again.
Thank you so much for taking a moment out of practice to come talk to us. And this is Monochrome signing off.
Saturday, February 26th, doors open at 5 p.m. Our first bout is the Divas versus the Nickel City Roller Derby.
Followed by CN Power and the Kalamazoo Derby Darlings.